Good afternoon, Abbotsford residents. I'm Mr. Pelican. I'm running for your Commander-in-Chief in Abbotsford. So you know our farmers suffered a great setback and negligence at both mayors. Henry Braun, that dismantled the Dike and Ditch Committee, and now the coward R.C.M.P that can't even face our farmers. So I want to show you what I learned from big developers, but what I learned from Henry Brown's son on the open fraud that's not addressed to my community or my residents. So during the flood, I showed you Jake's Contracting down here in Barreltown brought all this gravel at thousands of dollars with no game plan. There was no game plan. When you don't got a game plan, you could steal and just rake the city off of millions and millions and beg the province David Eby. So now the contractor's taking all the gravel out and they're going to do these lock blocks to set it off, so opening the highway, and another hundreds of millions to clean out the coffers. When practically common sense knew that you could go into them blackberries 7-8 feet and you could have all the soil off of job sites brought here to build a retaining wall. It wasn't. It was a way to mislead the community and steal and embezzle money in hundreds of millions of dollars, thousands on taxpayers, making it think that when we have engineers in our losers councils, and you could see the councillor Dave Lowens and Ross, they haven't even announced this kind of stuff because they know it's open fraud and how much is going in their back pockets to do it. We need to halt it. And I'm going to make this promise to Abbotsford residents. I said when I become your Commander-in-Chief, and not only that, the first thing we're going to do is forensic audit. We're going to go after these developers and contractors that were gouging my city and our residents and taxpayers, because they even know it. As a contractor, you know this whole thing is bloody wrong. So the problem is here. The Premier, David Eby's, got to get out of these cities and quit working backroom deals with these mayors, and this stuff didn't make sense. So I'm calling upon now Suk Mangill again, because I don't want Brad Viss to be going about that infrastructure, but I'm also calling on Bruce Bamman. Nothing's been done for our farmers, but we're going to gouge this and make it look like this concrete block, so they're millions of dollars, millions, just millions now cleaning up this, and blame it on this. And then once we get it through and we gouged it, we have to make sure that this is going to get all paid back, and who ordered this, with proper no game planning, nothing. So we would be looking at, as Abbotsford residents, as your mayor, I would be telling you, we would be looking at very little spent, because we would go in them blackberries and we would bring construction dirt off the job sites. And I showed you, now all this gravel's being tugged out and it's being, this fine gravel being done on the dikes. What are we building? Are we building the 30-30 Olympics to come to Abbotsford for running? It ain't. It's mismanaging with big, expensive cost overruns and all this construction, and it's fraud. It's fraud in Abbotsford taxpayers. This is how your taxes went up, but it's also wrong for every farmer that suffered the harm caused by R.C.M.P. And this is taking place on a day-to-day basis and behind everybody's back. And we knew that Vicky Hopes was running ads for Henry and protecting Ross. Wish you would think that. Let me tell you, the great loser of the city, R.C.M.P. and his council that can't face the farmers, are talking about building a concrete wall, and we're going to remove all the gravel. This is how you can steal out of Abbotsford's bank account. With no game planning, you could do it all. And then we'll go, well, you know, Abbotsford, let me tell you, we got some experts, the old bureaucrats in the Abbotsford, the old engineers in the old cities and old this. The prime example is there's free dirt from everywhere. And free dirt that comes off job sites and houses that are being dug that could have protected this, and this was an unnecessary thing. But why are we down here? Because this was a gold mine worth millions and millions and millions of dollars of concrete lock blocks and everything else, and the farmers got no help. So I'm telling you, when I become your mayor, we're going to go after these. We're going to go after which contractors, like Jake's was in here doing this garbage and cleaning it up and bringing the gravel, and now Jake's is going to get another couple of $100 million to build this. This is going to all stop. And then we're going to go after Jake's, because these jobs didn't go to tendering, and that's why they didn't tender it, because they were stealing, and we're going to go after that. But we have to go after criminal convictions to set a precedency of what was taking place in these cities. And so these councillors that were collaborating, they were a part of Abbotsford First, Ross Siemens' team, remember that whole team, when they were council and Henry was mayor. And this was to enrich and aid the gravel pits. And a proper game plan would have showed you how this is done. So I'm calling on my MLA, Bruce Bauman, the BC Conservatives, and Suk Mangale to say enough's enough of this bloody shit with Jake's contracting, this backdoor deals out of the city, and we need forensic audits. That's why I told you we need the R.C.M.P. I learned from great developers of how money walks out the door on everybody, and it could get out the door. Henry Brown was the mastermind in the driving of all this. And I made a few videos a couple of days ago showing you that the number one concern for my residents was my farmers, kids living in mold and the drywall that got all that, and we're gonna have Jake's doing this. Jake's needs to be run and put out of business, and no city should be dealing with Jake's contracting because they didn't have a game plan. Yes, Ross, how many millions can we steal, Ross? We'll get big trucks, we'll have 100 people out at the dikes, and we need to put a stop of it. I'm live, Abbotsford, British Columbia, on the dikes, and I'm encouraging you to come out and have a look at this thing ripping off. This is a big one. This one will buy you Cadillacs and Escalades and everything else. Live, Abbotsford's dikes.